Okay, let's not waste any time here. Welcome. This is a list of, I believe, 13 graphic novels and comics that I think are underrated, and I would recommend to you, the viewing audience. Disclaimers. 1. Disclaimer 1 of 3. These are numbered to make sure that you and I don't miss any when we're going through this list. The list order is random and it's not based on quality. So if something's number 1 and something's number 13, it doesn't mean that I'm recommending one over the other. It means that that's where they are on the list. Okay. 2. How do I define underrated? Basically, if I wish I'd heard about it sooner by more people, or that I think the score it has on Goodreads is lower than it should be, it's on here. 3. In a month, I'll probably wish I did this list completely different. I am constantly reading and rereading. These recommendations come from where I was right now, June 22nd, 2024. So please share your own picks in the comments. I'd love to read them. Literally. Okay. Number 1. Star Trek Year 5. Originally published early 2020. Written by Jackson Lansing, Colin Kelly, and Brandon Easton. Art by Stephen Thompson and Sylvia Califano. I'm going to pronounce all these names wrong, and I don't care. So, join the crew of the USS Enterprise in an all-new adventure as they near the end of their 5-year mission, featuring characters from the original series. The crew of the Enterprise left Earth 4 years ago. They've traveled to strange new worlds, defeated impossible foes, and made universe-changing decisions. But now, with the end in sight, they'll have to face their biggest challenge yet. Step aboard the Enterprise with Kirk, Spock, Bones, Uhura, Sulu, Scotty, and Chekhov as they begin the end of their original 5-year mission and boldly go into an uncertain future in this new continuing Star Trek series. Read the whole series. Why I recommend it. Everything you could possibly want from a Star Trek series is here. The characters are handled masterfully, each receiving their own important roles and arcs. It's not just like Uhura's at the computer to read something. Like, she has stuff to do. Everybody has stuff to do. Everyone has their own issues where they're kind of like the main focus. It combines the episodic nature of the original series with the emotional growth, introspection, and long-term storytelling of the movies. Okay, I'm only a casual Star Trek fan. I've watched a decent chunk of the episodes. I'm actually more of a Next Generation guy. But, by golly, when I read this, I was hooked immediately. I couldn't stop reading. I think it's 5 volumes total. Highly recommend it. It's really fun. Just really fun storytelling. Really good stuff. I'm sure hardcore Trek fans like Mike Stacklasa or somebody will pick this apart and be like, everything's been done before in Star Trek. I don't care. I haven't seen it before. It was a lot of fun. Read it. Give it a shot. Okay, number 2. Silver Surfer Requiem. As the substance that protects him from the vacuum of space decays and he faces the inevitability of his own imminent demise, the Silver Surfer makes a last tour of the galaxy and the friends he has made throughout his career. Originally published January in 2007, written by J. Michael Straczynski, art by Asad Ribic. Why do I recommend this? It is a near-perfect 4-issue story where a dying Silver Surfer reflects on his impact, the nature of humanity, and the purpose of life. Gorgeous art by Asad Ribic. This is a fairly well-known story. In fact, I've never seen anyone else talk about it until literally yesterday. James from Hunter Comics posted like a video about it. So, take his recommendation too. Highly recommended. Okay, I think this should be way more well-known than it is. I would put this in the same category and tier as possibly Watchmen. I'd say Batman Year 1. It's definitely like Batman Year 1 level. Arguably higher than Batman Year 1. I'm not sure. you'd have to tell me. I think it's really good. I think it should be talked about in that same echelon as some of those greats, because it is great. My only complaint, though, is I wish it was longer. I do. You may disagree with me. You may think that the 4 issues that it is are perfectly compact, nice. I wish it was longer. I could have used another issue or 2. Alright, number 3. Jonah Hex, Face Full of Violence. DC's legendary gunslinger returns in this action-packed collection featuring the first 6 issues of the acclaimed new series. The mysterious bounty hunter and thinking man's killer was a hero to some, a villain to others, and wherever he rode, people spoke his name in whispers. Was originally published in 2006, written by Jimmy Palmiotti and Justin Gray, art by Luke Ross, and many, many others throughout the length of this series. Why do I recommend this? Are you looking for something other than superhero comics? Something a little bit more grounded and gritty? Look no further than Palmiotti's run on Jonah Hex. It is an incredible anthology series for the most part, so you can pick up any collection of these stories. You really need no background, just pick it up, read it. If you like yourself some good spaghetti westerns, that kind of thing, definitely read this. I put volume 1 here just because it's volume 1. You can get started from when they first started doing this. But again, you know, your half-price books or something, you find volume 3, pick it up. You're not going to regret it. Excellent short stories centered around a stubborn bastard in a lawless society. You'll see this recommended on other people's most underrated and must-read lists as well, and for good reason. Okay, give it a shot. Yeehaw. Okay, number 4. Elektra Dark Reign. She's the deadliest woman in the world, and she's never been in worse shape. Broken, beaten, and tortured by alien scientists, Elektra stumbles to freedom in the aftermath of the Skrull invasion. Originally published March 2009, written by Zeb Wells, art by Clay Mann. Why do I recommend this? Dark Reign is probably my favorite event era in Marvel Comics. Norman Osborn had just taken credit for saving the world from the Skrulls in Secret Invasion, which was also very good. Not the show, the comic. And consequently became the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. I don't know if you knew this, but Norman Osborn is a bad guy. So, what happens when a barely stable narcissistic psychopath takes charge of most government institutions? If it's not the real world, it's a lot of cool shit, narratively speaking. Elektra wakes up on a villain-controlled helicarrier. Wounded and confused, she has to escape. It's high-octane action from start to finish. It's another short story, it's only a couple issues, but it's very fun. I highly recommend it. In fact, I think most Elektra stories are really good. She's one of those characters that you could pick up most stuff that she's the star in, and I'd recommend it. I think it's pretty good writing, usually. Okay, number 5. Invincible Iron Man Volume 2, World's Most Wanted. In the aftermath of Secret Invasion, Iron Man is no longer the hero he used to be, and Tony Stark's entire life is torn apart. We can't say much now, but how bad does it get? Here's a hint. Read World's Most Wanted by the blockbuster Invincible Iron Man creative team of Matt Fraction and Salvador Larroca, lauded by fans and critics alike. Wow. Originally published June 2009, written by Matt Fraction, art by Salvador Larroca. Why do I recommend this? This is another Dark Reign era story. This time we follow Tony Stark as he's on the run, as he deletes his brain. If you wished Flowers for Algernon had more action and espionage, boy, do I have the story for you. But Dom, you may be screaming at your device, this run is very popular. Why are you putting it on this list? I'm putting it here because every time I read the top 10 Iron Man stories list, it gets beaten by a bunch of other stories, and it shouldn't be. Fraction's Iron Man run is better than the Extrema saga. I said it. And Demon in a Bottle. Okay, there. Come comment on my video, please. It will give it more likes. Or, I don't know how that works. Okay, read more than just the first volume, which is also good. But you should definitely read first volume and just the whole series that they did. It's a lot. But yeah, my favorite Iron Man run, and I included this story specifically because I think it was my favorite part of it. Alright, number 6, Batman Beyond, 10,000 Clowns. Terry McGinnis, the Batman of tomorrow, has been under the tutelage of Bruce Wayne, the original Batman, for years, learning how to defend Gotham City against threats past and present. But there is only one Batman. When the Joker's gang, a group of criminals inspired by the Clown Prince of Crime, launch a series of coordinated attacks all around the town, Terry can only save so many people at once. Who can Terry turn to for help? This was originally published in 2013, written by Adam Beechin, art by Norm Breyfogle. Why do I recommend this? Batman Beyond comics are super underrated in general, all the way back to Hilary Bader's initial comics. I don't think you'd go wrong with reading any of them pre-DC Rebirth. Adam Beechin, however, delivers my personal favorite Batman Beyond arc here. He knocked it out of the park with his earlier issues, which you should still definitely read, but 10,000 Clowns is my personal favorite arc. It nails the look and feel of the show so well while exceeding its storytelling at points. If you're a fan of the show, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. Also, bonus recommendation, check out Kyle Higgins' Batman Beyond work as well, equally excellent. Alright, another Batman. I think we're on 7 now? Maybe? 7? Yeah, Batman Prey. Set in the year 1 time frame, Batman must confront the sinister Dr. Hugo Strange, a man with a deadly secret, out to stop and, if necessary, kill the Dark Knight. Who is the bloodthirsty Night Scourge? How does he link in with the police department? And where exactly does the mysterious Catwoman fit into all of this? This one was published January 1992, written by Doug Mensch, art by Paul Galancy, and inks by Terry Austin. Why do I recommend this? This was actually my first Batman comic. I had the original issues collected, so I'm extremely biased here. But, gosh damn does this series not get enough love. First off, it is a direct continuation of Batman Year 1 by Frank Miller, highly acclaimed. Even if it's not your cup of tea, I think you'd like this. If you like yourself some early Batman stories, here you go. Hugo Strange is a wild and crazy guy. Plus, you get some solid Batman, Catwoman early interactions. I personally believe this would be the best story to adapt for Matt Reeves' Batman 2. It goes into Bruce's feelings towards the public's reaction to the Batman, as well as the fear of being picked apart once you become more vulnerable and be into the public sphere. Okay, if you're looking for some solid 90s Batman you may not have read, give this a shot. This or Batman Venom. Anyway, Legends of the Dark Knight is a great series. Okay, 8. Uncanny X-Men Masterworks Volume 6. The X-Men return for another milestone Marvel Masterworks of beginnings, endings, and maybe even the beginning of the end. Wow. Chris Claremont and John Byrne raised a ragtag group of mutants from a burning ember to an all-out firestorm that topped the world of comics. And they'll ride out that flame with one of the most influential X-Men stories of all, X-Men Days of Futures Past. Feared, hated, and now on the road to extinction, Marvel's Children of the Atom face a bleak future of mutant concentration camps in a world where heroes are a thing of days gone past. Only by leaping... Guys, I'm not recommending the Days of Future Past part of this. You know that already. We're going to get to the part I'm recommending in a second. I'm just reading the back of it. Okay. Yada, yada, yada. Okay, where should we continue then? Claremont and Byrne close out their classic run together with the fan-favorite Kitty Pryde holiday tale, but things only pick up from there with the return of the man who first delineated the all-new, all-different X-Men, Dave Cockrum. Cockrum and Claremont put their team in a slow pressure cooker with Arcade, Dr. Doom, Garak, and then blows its top with the return of Magneto in a double-sized anniversary extravaganza. featuring guest appearances by Spider-Woman, Dazzler, and not to mention the debut of Mystique's Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. There's no question this is one for the ages. Dear Lord, we made it. Okay, originally published, the issues began in 1981, written by Chris Claremont, John Byrne, and Dave Cockrum, art by Byrne, Cockrum, and Brett Anderson. Why do I recommend this specific Marvel Masterworks volume of Uncanny X-Men? Okay, everyone knows Dark Phoenix Saga, Deadly Genesis, Days of Futures Past, Inferno, God Loves, Man Kills, all those other highly recommended X-Men stories from the Chris Claremont era, and for good reason, they are great. But guess what? Brother wrote for like 20 years. If you're looking for some good X-Men stories, read the X-Men comics by Claremont you haven't read yet, that weren't the big epic sagas, that weren't in those little collected editions. Okay, get yourself the Masterworks, go through, and, check them out. Why am I recommending number 6? Yes, it does have Days of Future Past in that. If you haven't read that, definitely read that. But it also has some really good stories in there too. You get Doctor Doom, Arcade, like they said, and a really good Magneto story. In fact, it's the one where he reveals, for the first time in comics, he was a Holocaust survivor. It's just a lot of really good. If you've read most of these already or aren't interested in this, I would check out Volume 10. Masterworks Volume 10, I really like that one as well. And if you've done both of those, great job. You're doing a good job already. No more than me. Cool. Alright. Number 9. Should probably number these. Justice League, the world's greatest superheroes. Between 1998 and 2003, Paul Dini, the Emmy Award-winning producer of Batman Beyond and the new Batman Superman Adventures, joined forces with the incomparable Alex Ross to create 6 oversized tabloid editions of stories featuring the world's greatest superheroes. These classic works for all ages feature the iconic DC characters in a unique storytelling format that combines aspects of both comics and picture books. Okay. Also included are several pages of promotional art, preliminary art and thumbnails, art done for DC Direct product, and model-to-finish painted comparisons, reflections by the book's creators, and much more. So this is the deluxe edition I'm reading here, I guess. The landmark volume also features an introduction by award-winning book designer and author Chip Kidd, and an 8-page fold-out featuring an image of every JLA member by Ross. Okay, this one was published in 2005, written by Paul Dini, art by Alex Ross. Why do I recommend this? Again, this one's kind of fairly well known, but I didn't hear about it till like this year. So I'm sharing it with y'all anyway. Dini and Ross teaming up to write stories about superheroes attempting to tackle real-world issues like hunger, crime, and poverty. Unbeatable. These stories are gorgeously illustrated and incredibly moving. I know some have said Alex Ross's work, it's great for like a picture, but for storytelling, it doesn't always have that much energy. I think that here it's used perfectly. They are so thoughtfully written here. Anytime someone questions why these godlike or ultra-wealthy heroes aren't doing more, recommend them this comic. Okay. All I gotta say about that. Very good stuff. 10? Yeah, 10. The Book Tour. A page-turning, Kafkaesque dark comedy in brilliant retro style, this graphic novel watches one man try to keep it together while everything falls apart. Upon the publication of his latest novel, G.H. Fretwell, a minor English writer, embarks on a book tour to promote it. Nothing is going according to plan, and his trip gradually turns into a nightmare. But now the police want to ask him some questions about a mysterious disappearance, and it seems that Fretwell's troubles are only just beginning. In his first book for adults in many years, acclaimed cartoonist Andy Watson evokes the anxieties felt by every writer and compresses them into a comedic gem of a book. Witty, surreal, and sharply observant, the book tour offers a captivating lesson in letting go. Originally published in 2019, written and drawn by Andy Watson. Why do I recommend this? Listen, I don't only read superhero or superhero-adjacent comics, though I do very much enjoy them. I love finding stories like this just as much, especially when they are this gosh darn charming. The bio says most of what I could say without spoiling things in this comic. This may not be everybody's cup of tea here, but I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I recommend you give it a shot. I believe it is highly underrated. Alright. Wolverine Logan. Number 11. Now that he has his memories intact and can fully recall his past, Wolverine decides to settle a score with an old enemy. Originally published 2008, written by Brian K. Vaughan, art by Eduardo Risso. This is another fairly well-known comic that I had only heard about recently, and I was completely blown away. I love Brian K. Vaughan. Y the Last Man is one of my favorite comics of all time. Saga and Paper Girls are great also. However, not everything I've read from him is something I've absolutely loved. So the fact that I hadn't heard about this series, I was like, this is going to be another one of those. It's not going to be too great. Well, it'll be okay, but it'll be fine. You know, he's getting his footing kind of early. No, this was really good. Also, this had less than a 4.0 on Goodreads. I know I saw a review of it recently where it was kind of said to be overrated. I disagree because I'd never heard about it before and I came in with no expectations. So I think if you go in with no expectations, it's very good. Again, really short, beautiful, gorgeous artwork by Eduardo Risso. I mean, if you're looking for Wolverine clawing his way through a bunch of guys and like grunting through pain, check out Greg Rucka's run. That was really good also. This is more of like the sensitive samurai Wolverine, a little bit of Japan stuff. And I can't go into too much. I think that it's just a more reflective, emotional, you know, love-filled Wolverine story. Still lots of stabbing and cool stuff, though. Okay, number 12, Joker's Asylum. Take a twisted journey with Batman's deranged enemy, the Joker, to explore the psychosis of several of the Dark Knight's famous foes. Originally published 2008. Writers include Jason Aaron, Joe Harris, David Hine, and others. Art by Jason Pearson, Andy Clark, Wando, and others. This is just what popped up on Goodreads. I think there's more in there. Why I recommend? Okay, bio really tells you nothing. This is an anthology series told in the late 2000s where a bunch of writers and artists came to tell one-shot stories featuring each of Batman's biggest villains. The nice thing about the collection is that there will probably be at least one story for you here. Which villains are featured? You got Scarecrow, Poison Ivy, Two-Face, Penguin. Joker's the narrator between the stories in like a Rod Sterling, Twilight Zone kind of way. He's not in them. There's a second volume published in 2011 that I don't believe I've read, but I do plan on doing so, with even more characters if these aren't the ones that float your boat. Personally, the Two-Face story alone makes this collection worthwhile. Imagine having a great Two-Face story that isn't just his origin retold again. Really good stuff. This is probably my favorite Two-Face story. So I won't go into any spoilers, just know if you like these characters, it's worth a read. I like the Poison Ivy one too, a lot. And the Scarecrow one, and the Penguin one. So I liked all of them, but you get the point. Last but not least, Dr. Doom. From Christopher Cantwell comes Dr. Doom. Victor Von Doom, scientist, sorcerer, disfigured face, twisted soul, has been spending much of his time warning against a $1 trillion global effort to create the first artificial black hole. Wrestling with visions of an entirely different life, Dr. Doom finds himself at a crossroads. What is he questioning? A catastrophic act of terrorism kills thousands, and the prime suspect is Doom. Victor will have to push his unexplained thoughts aside and focus on remaining alive as the title of Most Wanted Man is thrust upon him. Left with no homeland, no armies, no allies indeed, nothing at all will the reign of Dr. Doom... What? Nothing at all will the reign of Dr. Doom come to abrupt halt. Nothing at all will the reign of Dr. Doom come to an abrupt halt. God. Originally published 2020, written by Christopher Cantwell, art by Salvador Larroca. Dr. Doom is probably my favorite villain in comics. Even when he is poorly written, his stereotype is so strong that the stories still end up being pretty good. Fortunately, this 12-issue series that he stars in does him very well. You even find out which Beetle is his favorite. Is it John, Paul, George, or Ringo? Find out in this comic. Look, it's a fun, thought-provoking, and character-driven, on-the-run mystery where Victor Von Doom questions his life choices in a way not often seen in storytelling. I've talked to some people who didn't quite enjoy this series or understand it, but I personally loved it, therefore I recommend it to you. Okay, this has gone on long enough. There you go, there you have it. Those are 13 underrated, in my opinion, graphic novels or comics that I think you should check out if you're looking to read some comics you haven't read before. Was there any on there you hadn't heard about? Was there any that you think I should check out or I should put on here? Anything that you think that I'm an idiot for putting on here, please make fun of me, insult me in the comment section. I appreciate it. And yeah, peace out, my brothers and sisters and non-binaries.